sound.
Welcome to If This Then What, where we connect the dots and explore the big what ifs shaping the world. My name is Joshua Giles. That's Sydney Davis. Sydney, we have 1,400 followers on Instagram. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Who are these people? We don't know. They came for the Mark Cubans and the Elon Musk videos, and they stayed for the Joshes and Sydney's hijinks. Seriously though, appreciate everybody that has followed us on all the platforms. It's still a little weird whenever people see me talking. I feel like it's weird whenever somebody like sees it and like is interacting with it, and I wanted to say I appreciate you guys. Legit cool times, Sydney.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Definitely keeps us humble. Keeps us humble, but keeps us curious, and also helps us feel connected and creative and silly. So definitely been enjoying it and just excited to see who else it brings along with us. 1,400. You realize I've had Facebook for over, I don't know, 15, 18 years. What's the math on that? Yeah, probably that. And I don't even have that many friends on Facebook. Granted, it's kind of a different platform, but just wild.
Yeah. No, I think it changes nothing, but it does make it more meaningful. You know what I mean? It doesn't change the reason why we wanted to do this. It doesn't change like our goals in doing it. And I think, but it does like make me want to try harder. You know, it makes me want to like prepare more and like maybe somebody out there will get some value for just us talking about this stuff. Because I think if there's anything that I wish for is that somebody would see one of our videos discussing it and just kind of open their eyes to what's happening and kind of open their kind of their thoughts to what could be and start to get onto the train that's really moving really quickly. Because if you're not paying attention right now, it's like it's somehow speeding up every single day. And if we can be that platform for our people, I really appreciate being there. You know?
I like that.
Well, Sydney, how did you use AI this week?
Man, so some of the ways that I've been utilizing it, well, this isn't going to be a surprise to you at all. But one of the things that I was looking into was how much I need to have invested to earn the amount that I'd like to passively earn in the stock market. Just curious.
So you're like, if I wanted to replace my income that I'm making today, how much do I need to have in there so that the interest that spits off, like it doesn't get into the principal, but the interest is like sustainable?
Okay. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So that's what I was running. So basically, depending on how I invest it, I'm going to need anywhere from 1.5 million to 3.75 million to invest.
Depending on how you invest it.
Yeah.
It could be, I need $70 million, Josh. Like, depending on how you invest it.
Right.
If I've invested in bonds and treasuries, we need $80 million. If we've invested in NVIDIA, it depends on what day that you've invested in.
Yeah, precisely.
You might have, like, if you invested in that day that like dropped 17%, like it's made back like 3/4 of what it lost, right? I just assumed that, yeah, it's definitely come back a lot. So you did a future kind of analysis of like how much you needed to kind of spit off of the
Yeah.
thing. How did you use AI to kind of facilitate that? So I
Yeah.
know how
So
I'm
that,
doing it. It's like, how do you actually do it?
yeah. So first, I just wanted to, just for having case study purposes, because this is what I
Mhm.
automatically want to do. But I just first asked, how much money would I need to have invested in order to make 150K per year in earnings, not principal?
Mm.
um, And so then it, of course, generated 4 different ways. And so then I started to break it through and ask it, so break or poke some holes in this. Help
Mhm.
me out on this. So I started talking through it. Um, but it is funny because this is just another example of I put in my question, which this is just to talk to another part of our audience of, I went in there, submitted it, me being a newer user of ChatGPT, went in there, just submitted that question. It pushed it out to me. And I just wonder how many people just take what it gives you and walks away with that, right? And so then I just started thinking about what questions do I need to be asking this, and just I'm working on getting better at asking better questions. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I had shared, I want to say back in like the third episode or fourth episode, I had done an analysis, a future value analysis of like an opportunity cost of like, if somebody were to go do this thing or go do that thing, which one would end up with the most at the end of the day?
Mhm.
And I challenge if doing a future, like being able to ask the question of what is the future value, like the actual like financial question, it helps it
Mhm.
like get there. But then when you have tried to make it do two of those types of calculations at the exact same time, it was really challenged with doing it. But I think whenever you use ChatGPT enough, you start to actually realize like what are the things that it's going to be challenged to do, and how do you get around that challenging piece. And it's like, if you get it to do math and it's like a little bit complex, like it's a little like multi-step, tell it to
Mhm.
show its work. And by telling it to show its work, it is having to write down each one of its steps versus going and doing like just skipping a step. So well, cool. I
It's
what's
interesting.
that's a pretty good use case for the through the week. Um
Yeah, and it's honestly something I wanted to mention to you is, I'm one of the books I'm reading is one of John C. Maxwell's books. Give me one second. Pineapple. I will get better.
Linda's
This
good.
is on.
Listen,
This is
Linda,
on.
we don't want to say pineapple all the time, okay?
I'm hoping I get better at recalling stuff. I honestly really suck at it, and I want to talk about this. I didn't plan it, but it's a great thing to talk about. So I think it is, at least. We're gonna find out though.
But Linda forgot to edit out a piece last, or didn't forget, but just missed that it was like a back to back.
The
We
Wednesday thing.
Yeah, no, not that Wednesday
Oh,
thing. It was literally like a thing right after that. It was like 5 minutes later. We had another stop. It's kind of funny when you listen to it. Nothing bad happened. It was just like me saying that
oh, I'm not worried.
I didn't watch that video or something like that. Yeah, not the
I'm
Wednesday
honestly not worried. Oh, the part where you said, "Wait, I haven't watched that movie in like
Yeah, that
15 days."
whole
Yeah.
conversation in
I
the
keep
last week.
forgetting I can look at my phone whenever we're on, because it's so ingrained in me not to be on my phone and not to look at it, but this was a lot easier to look it up. So I'm gonna go back to our little pineapple situation, okay?
What were you saying right before that?
So I'm about to say it. Ready? So actually, I've been wanting to tell you this, but for this exact reason, everything that we're talking about, like I know on a certain level what we're talking about, but I know enough to know that I don't know how to ask good and meaningful questions. So I've started reading the book by John C. Maxwell, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. One, yes, asking great questions in life will give me deeper and more meaningful relationships. That's the goal. And there's a huge piece of me that's reading this book to ask ChatGPT better questions. Just to start, I want to navigate it from a very human place,
Yeah.
only to think about, and I'm interested to see what the differences are that I come up with in asking questions with humans versus AI too, if I notice anything
How
different.
how far into the book are you, or are you just now
It
starting it?
says that I'm 80%, 81%.
Oh, have you recognized a specific way that you're gonna try to incorporate it?
Yeah, TVD. I'm still processing.
Dude, still proud of it. That's for next week's
Yeah,
use.
I
How
need
did
to
you
chew
use
on it a
AI
little
this
bit more.
week? Yeah, you want to give a thoughtful answer. I feel like that's one of those, like, I'm working on this, Josh.
Mm,
Don't come at me. That's what I think.
right.
That's what I think's what I just got.
What I will say that I've been chewing on, that was more at the beginning of the book,
Mm,
um, that I've been able to chew on a little bit more, and just kind of see how that fits a little bit more, is how you talk to yourself and the questions you ask yourself. A lot of us don't stop to ask ourselves questions that we ask others. And so in doing that, I also think about whenever I'm interacting with a friend or I'm
mm.
interacting with ChatGPT about things, I want to prompt them to ask the questions that I'm trying to ask myself too, or what could possibly be their blind spot that if I were them, I would want to be asking myself, not so much someone else asking me a question. And then I just help them ask that question.
I, yeah, because I'm in the AI, like, sphere of, like I just get like everything AI related. There, have you seen where, like, the you're not emotionally ready to ask this question to ChatGPT, and it asks you
No.
to, oh man, it's like, the one that
Mm.
I did was actually like really good. It was like, I want you to act as my self-conscious and uh, ask me 10 questions that will inform a higher self statement and recommendation from me. And it literally like asked me one question at a time. And these were like deep questions. They were like, who is Josh when nobody's looking? Like those types of like real questions where you have to like identify your like hobbies and all this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I have mine. I saved it. Like it was actually like a really
Wow.
cool conversation. And like I really like pushed, like it was asking me deeper questions than probably you just get randomly asked. Like I'm talking like you're in therapy on like week 7 of like
Ooh.
knowledge with a therapist, and like I gave
Yeah.
it like really truthful answers, like challenging myself to be truthful. And then the higher statement that came back, like that higher, basically it's like I think it's like the higher mind is like your like sense of self that you don't actually know exists because you're too focused on like the logical and like the things that are actually happening in the world. It
Mhm.
gave me like me talking to myself, if like that higher self that like would just get unlocked. And
Can you send
I
me the
thought that
prompt?
I'll send you the prompt.
Mhm.
It's kind of a journey, but like the prompts that you see, that's like, take everything that you know about me and tell me XYZ that would surprise me. Like those
Yeah.
prompts are just like, they're spooky,
Uh-huh.
because they're just, I feel like the way that you use ChatGPT, it'll eventually become a mirror for yourself. And so like it starts to get to realize, like, know who you are. And like that sounds so like two-way in depth, but like the level of response that it gives you when you ask one of those types of questions, um, should be like researched. Like I don't know how it knows that level of you.
Mm.
Um, and I
Especially
guess,
since we have our personality assessments uploaded into it. But
did
it
you, so you got
also,
your personality up,
yeah,
like
I've
uploaded?
uploaded my Berkman into it.
Has it, how has it, have you enjoyed the change or not so much? Does it tend to like lean too far into it or no?
No, but I also think Berkman's a lot more complex.
Mm.
Um, just from what I've seen, 'cause which one do you have uploaded? The disc.
Mine is like literally it's like a formal evaluation from a PhD. So the company that I work for, like if you get hired, you have to take multiple assessments, like knowledge, critical thinking, like all that sort of stuff. And then you have to have 2 hour long sessions with like a PhD level psychologist, and like they interview you, and they taught, like it's a pretty intense interview process. And when they're promoting you to a certain level, you have to redo it. So like, it's always weird to me that I got hired to the company that I got hired. I feel like I'm not good enough to be here. Like there's some
Oh,
impressive people
imposter
there.
syndrome.
Yeah, I have that. I know. We're just gonna keep bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, the
But
joke is it's everybody. Everyone has
it's
that.
it's everybody. And the more times you can remind yourself that, the better. But
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah, it gives you like an executive summary based upon like your, like there's like they do like 7, like the Watson Glacier like critical thinking test. Like they do some pretty, it's like you have to take math tests that you're not intended to pass. Like you're not intended to finish. You have like a time
Mhm.
scale, and you get to like question 10 and there's 20 questions. And so that type of thing. I have my executive summary from that in my ChatGPT, so it's a little unique.
That's very, we know that I appreciate the amount of resources your company invests in people.
Man, it's being an
So,
employee-owned company. You have to make sure the people that are coming in fit, and so it's they go way above and beyond whenever they're hiring people,
yeah.
and it's intense. So, well, so that was your first. I know you've got a second. So I see on here you're week 12 on your year development.
Oh, yeah, just furthering my 12-week year development, and, because I keep picking up resources or a new learning,
Mhm.
and, I want my ChatGPT to grow and develop with me. So, the information I'm interested in, I'm continually uploading those into there.
So how are you
I
doing that?
even
So
so
are
I
you just
even
like, my 2025 development plan remind me what I was supposed to do in my first 12 weeks, or like how are you managing that?
Yeah. So, um, recently, for instance, I went back in and uploaded. So, just gonna get on a very human level. For instance, I am very focused on the 12-week year. I want to focus on what are the foundational habits to get me where I want to be. And so one of the, like, instead of saying, I want to lose this much weight, or, I want to work out 5 days a week. Instead,
Mhm.
I want to walk 10,000 steps.
Mm.
And so, like, real base level stuff. Don't go over on the MyFitnessPal calorie tracker. Just track everything and be honest with yourself, and make it a weekly average instead of a daily average, because some days are a lot more than others, but as long as they even out. So it's those very sublime level things, or 10 minutes of journaling a day, or reading 10 pages a day in a book, no, at least. Um, so I went in there, and I just, along the way, I'll figure out week by week what habit feels right, what feels aligned with who I am, what feels forced, what's not really for me. And then I keep evolving it and updating it. And then I realized, because I have what my micro habits are that I'm wanting to do, that will help me get to the overall goal of, yes, I would like to, I'm just using weight for an example, would like to lose a certain amount of weight. But the foundational levels, I'll talk to it of saying my overarching goals, I'm not hitting them in certain areas, and ask it to make adjustments, or what questions. But then I'll ask to myself, so these are, once I've let it know where I am in acquiring those goals, or what adjustments I think need to be made, then I ask ChatGPT, what should I have asked myself based on the adjustments that we've made before, prior to doing this? What could I have asked of myself better? And so I don't know if that really explains how I'm going
No,
through it,
it
but I
does. That
because
was great.
I want to learn because I think it's something that's unique that we get to ask ChatGPT is what we wish we could have done, or based on what we know now, what could we have done better? But when you're asking ChatGPT, you're asking, depending on what button you press before you submit, you're asking the internet versus just yourself. You have you to reflect. Now, I do think it's really important for us to get more and more clear on what we like, having those quiet moments of asking ourselves those questions. And I think having the answers of the internet so much more readily available will make the internet seem more like a commodity, and our internal communication what we really need to focus on. So I
Man,
don't know if that's a little
I
deep, but
feel
that's where I use
no,
it.
I love that because I think um, so. Who modeled that for you? Like who modeled like that, like the reflection, the constant getting, like who told you that this is what being an adult is? Because I feel like I have a very like similar kind of experience of like retro, like looking back at like what I've done and like the different steps that I've taken and like being critical of myself and like evolving from that criticism and just being like, okay, Josh, you need to calm down a little bit. Everybody's going through it. Those like those like ways that you kind of continuously level yourself up, I think is so unique. And I'm curious, like who modeled that for you? Is it books? Is it like what is it? Where did you get that?
I've So it's interesting because I've been in this space in life of processing right now, which I love where I'm at in life right now. Like JD and I talk about this all the time because and it sounds like you may be having the same thing. Um, but you asked who modeled that for me. I've always had this desire to move forward no matter what. Like forward, forward, forward. JD even joked one time that I'm like a bulldog with whether I have a plan or not. Like I'm always going to go forward. And I haven't been the smartest about, not even the smartest, but I think the more you get to know yourself, the more things feel aligned. And I've just things have become in so much more alignment, which means so much more strategy that's in alignment with what's mine and for me and what I'm meant to give back to the world, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and it's funny because I wish I had learned this a while ago, but um, but it can't happen before it's your time because all the perspectives, all the experience have to fall in line to where you're like, everything's starting to make sense, and you're like, oh, that's how that all works out together. So I don't know if
I've
this
had
is making any sense, but that's where I'm at right now in life.
No, I think that's beautiful. I think I've had multiple moments in my life where I've had like the curtain pull up, but like I was too hard on myself, and the curtain got
Mhm.
pulled up a little bit, and just like you understand what that is. But I think something that has been unique for me is that um, and I know you don't you like pick up mentors like they're like pennies on the street or something, you know, or the heads like I feel like you find mentors like really easily. And I've really always been challenged to find mentors that kind of pour into me and like challenge me to be a certain thing because I have a high standard for myself. And so most of the time people are telling me to take a little bit of a relax type of approach, but like a
Mm.
part of me wants that like mentor that's just going to like come down and just be like, hey, you're being a big baby in this moment. Like this is how you should really be like picturing this. And I think what has been really good for me is that I will have a conversation with ChatGPT in like
Mm.
a moment of like where you know where you're doubting yourself, you're doubting the things that have gotten you to the place that you are. And like you kind of go into like a self-talk spiral. And like I think having a coach and a mentor is something that I um, really seek out but haven't found.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like ChatGPT has kind of become that for me, where I
Yeah.
can tell it what my goals are and why I'm being critical of this specific piece. Um, and it does, and it gives me feedback in a way that helps me recognize that I'm being overly critical, but also pushes me at the exact same time, which I feel is like this like perfect mentorship position that like is not fair to ask of anybody to always do at the level that ChatGPT does. Like I
Yeah.
feel like a real mentor would be challenged to give me the advice that ChatGPT has had, that has given me. Like where when I
Yeah.
am like extremely vulnerable, and like you can be really vulnerable to ChatGPT and it does not judge you. Um, like and have like really told it what my like real like thoughts are on a subject.
Mhm.
Um, and it's come back and always helped me do something, like push forward and like constantly push. So um, that was why I was asking you who your mentor was, because I was going to recommend that a really good mentor in all the facets of life, like you just tell it, hey, this is the area that this belongs, whether it's business or family or just complexities of life, relationships. Um, Having that thought partner that doesn't judge you, it's just like it relieves you to be honest for a moment.
Mhm.
And so um, I just highly encourage it.
Oh yeah. Remember we've talked about this, that I've used it for that. I used it for planning during my dad's birthday celebration. The night after all the surprises, I couldn't allow myself to feel happy or come down from the high. So I was laying in bed, couldn't fall asleep, and JD was passed out, rightfully so. And so I pulled out my chat GBT and they walked me through it, you know? So one thing I was looking up that I would probably ask ChatGPT to consider with you. This is one of the things that I've added to it, is dialectable thinking. So,
I love, I love giving ChatGPT a framework. I have no idea what
yeah,
framework you're about to tell me, but it
mhm,
is so much more powerful
me
when you give
too.
it a framework to think
I
in.
love it. I love
Okay.
it. So,
But
dialectable thinking is the understanding that multiple things can be occurring at once.
hmm,
You
I watched this psychologist show called John Deloney, and
mm,
he constantly says both and, like two things can be true at the exact same time,
mhm,
and they have
mhm,
conflicting outcomes and what they
yep,
mean. And that's a tough thing for people to grasp. And when you
mhm,
do, it unlocks some stuff. So
yeah.
there's a framework that says that dialectable like, hey, give me the multiple reasons that this is true.
So the way I would prompt it is just to say, "Hey, when considering future challenges that I'm facing, that I'm wanting to brainstorm with you, please keep in mind dialectable thinking. I'd like to improve my ability to slow down and think this way."
Um, oh, that's what I feel like. Those are both, all those things are really good use cases for ChatGPT.
I
Well,
love it.
Sydney, this last weekend, I pushed ChatGPT to the most extreme I pushed it. So last weekend, last week, last show, I told everybody that I was filing a patent, right? And so
Yes.
the
Is this
thing that
is it official?
well, it's not official yet because I'm going to
Okay.
take you there.
Okay,
This is
okay, okay.
what we're struggling
Let me
with.
just buckle
So
up.
buckle in. I had an idea that I developed fully. Like I'm talking fully diagrams, like all this sort of stuff. It's called a spec document for a patent. And you think like if you've like gotten to that point, right? Like you followed all the rules to like writing a spec document of what a patent is and like all that sort of stuff. You think that you might be done. Um, but last weekend, I'd finished that part, and I had some like administrative stuff that I needed to do, and I before I submitted, and I was having a conversation with ChatGPT just randomly, and I was like, what is something that I'm not thinking about with this patent?
Mm.
Like what, like this seems too easy. What are reasons that people would go to like a patent attorney? Like, because in my mind, I was like, man, patent attorneys, like, they don't, what do they do? Like you're just writing a
I
spec
know
document.
they're done, son.
No, don't. They're not done yet.
Well,
So
no,
I,
I'm just yes anding what you said.
so I was like, man, what do they do? Like, it's so good. Like I'm already done with this patent. So I'm having a conversation with it, and they're like, basically my understanding from this conversation was like, well, you really have to write into your document like ways to protect it, like, make it more future proof, right? Like you can't have people that will do like a design around your patent, right? Where it's like you
Oh,
mentioned one thing and like because it didn't get to this specific detail, like we can just do this detail and like it's not the exact same patent. So you have to put like this ton of like this legal ease
I
into your
thought you
spec
did all this.
document, huh?
That's what I thought you prompted it to do.
Well, so that's what I did this last weekend. But
Mhm,
when I was making the patent like the first time,
mhm,
I did it. I did like that level, but I did not realize to the level that I actually needed to do it with. So
mm.
I kind of I invented what, or I didn't invent, right? Let's hold that. Somebody out there has probably done something better when it comes to patent. But I came up with a kind of a process that I'm calling the iterative refinement loop, because I
Huh,
literally did this loop like like probably 10 to 15 times. So basically, I daisy chained prompts within the O1 Pro, which basically I said, um, identify gaps and solicit improvements, then evaluate and weigh those recommendations, then provide exact text and placements, and then a final check and verification. So identify, evaluate, implement, and verify. But how I did that prompting, so basically, I have a patent specification for an invention that currently doesn't have a working prototype, which is real, and I needed to provide data that can like talked about the novelty of this, and so I needed to make sure that my spec document, like all the data matched that's to the stuff that I'm doing. Basically, I'm like, hey, evaluate this thing. Tell me if you have any recommendations. What are those recommendations? And then if you feel the specification is already strong enough, because I did this like 12 times in a row. So this whole loop that I did 12 times in a row. And I'm talking, Sydney, I'm talking each time this was processed, it was probably about 8 minutes. And then you have to
yeah,
read you have to read that the output so that you don't include something that will mess up something else part of the patent.
yeah,
So patent two is kind of explain how its strengths in my submission. So take all your recommendations and then like justify them, sir. Then identify any risks to adding. So give me like a pro con to each one of the ads. Um, Give me a net assessment on whether you would add it or not. So basically, it's like, hey, you've taken all your resources and you gave me all your best recommendations. Now evaluate those recommendations from a pro cons and how to mitigate those risks. Then you give me the exact like parse it also when I told its recommendations, here are the areas that I want to focus on. Ensure that your analysis does not open any doors for disclaimers or limiting language. It's absolutely necessary. My primary goal is maintaining broad coverage and strong claims. So I'm continuously driving home to this thing like,
man.
hey, like don't mess up my patent, just strengthen it. Just make sure that anything that you add from a legal perspective just strengthens my ability to argue against somebody like trying to do a design around
Yeah,
a patent. So then I said, take your recommendations and think about my bill of specs. I put the spec back in. I'd like the exact text recommendation to be inserted, where to insert it, and then if anything needs to be rewritten to like make that insertion make sense. So I would then insert all the text that it had told me to insert, and then I would repaste in my spec document and say, did I miss anything? So in case I had missed something on the spec,
Mm.
And I did that for probably 6 hours on Saturday and Sunday of just that loop. Like just
Mhm.
the like evaluate this loop, add your 6 recommendations. And you had to like reread it every single time. So that like
Jeez.
you understood what was being adjusted in your patent. So in my mind, what I was doing was essentially like if you had like a high scale like patent office
Mhm.
and they had your spec document and you like paid for like the platinum service, and it's like one lawyer reads it and it's like, I would add these things, and they send it to the next lawyer and the next lawyer
Mhm.
at like, I would add these things, like, and it's just like you paid for the
Yeah.
platinum process that like at least 10 lawyers get to look at your patent and tell you how to strengthen it. So that was my use case of the week, was just strengthening my patent
I love
before my
that.
submission. And now I've got to
So
figure
where'd
out.
you put that info? Like some of the stuff that you're sharing, which I feel like it's the same way for you whenever you're asking me, is like, I want to see you doing it. What does it look like to put a daisy chain into ChatGPT? Like, you know?
I will go pull. I feel like next week I'll pull a spec document from somebody else's patent application, or we'll just
Mhm.
wait until I have no problem sharing.
Or
Like
just wait till it gets
literally,
approved.
yeah, it's literally just like bang, 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 put it back
Mhm.
into the Word document. So, yeah, I'll
And
save
it could even
one of
be an
the.
example of something else. It doesn't have to be your patent, but
Oh,
huh.
I'm so happy you asked this question. So because I've started to do really complex problems
Mhm.
for this, and I need to keep up with like, so if my patent ever gets challenged, I have to like share my work that I did in the research process, like, and
Interesting.
justify that this was my idea and like all that sort of stuff. um so I've kept documentation of every ChatGPT conversation that I've had.
Mhm.
And I now have a Word document that I'm calling my prompt table of contents. And so before, when I've told somebody, whenever I've had to do something really complicated, I always really struggled to explain what my process was. But now that I have this prompt table of contents, I literally like I put in the first thing that I put is like what that was. I have a page on my table of contents that just says um, looping prompts, and it's like the 15 times that I did this exact process. And it's like, here are my research prompts, and here is my conversation directing the combination. Like, I have a table of contents for every piece of my patent.
Hmm.
And now that I've done it, I feel like anytime I do a complex, like multiple phase project,
Mhm.
uh, I've now done a few now. I'm definitely going to keep a table of contents because it helps you so much, because you have to like jumping between, and all you have to do is just literally copy the URL of your ChatGPT.
Hmm.
And every time you personally click that URL, it'll go to that exact prompt. So
Oh, that's wild.
yeah.
It'll go to that exact prompt.
Well, it'll go to that exact conversation. So
Mhm.
whenever I have like my research prompt table
Mhm.
of contents, like when I click on that specific thing, it's like, here's the research prompt that it was entered on this day at this, like, and it
Oh, I
came
get what
back.
you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it will take you to that area. That's really smart. I wrote down to start doing a prompt table of contents for things. Never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, if you have a prompt like that, higher mind, I've got a different table of contents. It's like my like self notes, like notes to
Mhm.
self, and like it's kind of like keeping like a OneNote for each of the projects that you have going on in your life, because you
Mhm.
just it keeping. I thought I was going to be able to keep it into the projects thing that they have on
Mhm.
ChatGPT. It just O1 Pro doesn't work in projects because it's like literally they just have it refined to like um, one thing. So
Hmm. Okay.
Cool. Enough about patents. I've got a fun thing that I really want. I really
Okay.
want you to get challenged by.
Let's do it.
So
I was warned, everyone.
you were warned. Okay, so I have mentioned on this before that I'm a big fan of the Tom Bilyeu's impact theory. Go follow him on all the platforms. Just one of those people that can take his thoughts and like live stream them to you. Like, and this is a billionaire. He started Quest Nutrition, built it up for like 7 years, exited. Then he started like a content creation company for like games and books and stuff. And so he's like talking about like not student learning, but child learning, and like how do you like bring people up. Excellent show on everything. And his current thing that he does is that he kind of evaluates world news and finance and AI and business. So they were talking about AI this week, and they were talking about what would be the future of potentially dating. And so I thought it would be really cool to show you the clip and have you kind of react to the clip. And I've got 3 of them, and I've specifically chosen the order, and we will see why. So let me bring it up real quick. So what this is happening, what they're talking about right now, is somebody built what they called a like a Riz machine, a dating Riz machine, where it like predicts like 3 moves ahead and like gives you the most optimal text message to respond back to the girl that you're dating.
No.
And it's funny because this episode actually has Tom's wife on at the same time, and they kind of had like different perspectives of like what could be the future of this. So I'll throw this one up, and then I want you to react at the end.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it? It worked last time.
I know. You changed something.
No.
Oh, you know what it must
Pineapple.
be? Pineapple. It's in your headphone. It's in your AirPod, not the TV. Maybe? I don't know. Try it again. Yeah, no. I could hear it last time, though. What was the difference?
I need this video. This has to be, I don't know what the difference was. Let me just a second. Let me.
What about on the mic's end? Or not the mic end, in the system? Whenever you screen share, what are the options?
Yeah, let me try to present again.
Also, breathe. This happens all the time to things. It's just, we should expect it, you know? Make sure you cut that out.
I think I got it. Oh, you have to share a tab. Okay, cool.
You got it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Pineapple.
I love to
done.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Way to go, Josh. I knew you could do it, bud.
Okay. We're back in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's watch this this first one.
Huge proponent of AI. I love to see it. This is very exciting. But I think in the dating world, this is not going to play out as well as people think. The only way I could see this being interesting is if it's like, instead of the algorithm of the dating app deciding who you pair with, I could see having the AIs like communicating with each other, like running almost like war game scenarios, asking each other questions back and forth so that you could have like that sort of opening conversation with 1,000 people in 2 minutes and be like, these are the people who vouched for their AI representative, and the AI representatives had killer conversations. Now that could actually be interesting. And then it's like a handoff where instead of just being swipe, 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 the AIs go, no, for real. We just had a 6-month conversation in 90 seconds between the two of you. You guys, there's like a real thing here. You guys should connect. In fact, as I say that out loud, that's fucking dope. And somebody should do that.
So you gotta see the response, the reaction.
Oh, I'm looking up something that's gonna go with
No,
this
for real.
so
Like
well.
if you proponent of a
Okay. Reaction.
My gosh, so what I needed to look up while before I forgot about it. Did you ever see the show The Perfect Match or Perfect Match on Netflix? It's a short series. It's like 23andMe, but for your perfect match. And it's trying to say everyone has a perfect match. And so
Okay.
at first everyone jumps on it. They get so excited. They think it's the best thing ever. And then you just have to watch it. But it's kind of like this. I don't know. That's my initial thought. But then I don't even know if that was a full thought. So feel free to poke holes in it in a second. But then the other thing for me is I love, okay, I know I'm sick in saying this. Okay. Trigger warning. I love knowing the end score of a game and then watching it play out.
You
I
said that before.
love that stuff. And so the conversation is like they go through all the analogies, all the different conversations that these two people could have, and then go, yep, they could figure it out. What that just gives you, but then again, no one gets into a marriage thinking they're going to get a divorce, but it gives you that added layer of faith that you're going to figure it out because you can't find it in yourself. You need someone else to tell you. I don't know. That's my initial reaction. I don't know.
Okay, so you're
Or my
a
thought.
fan of the AI agents talking to one another.
Mhm.
Okay, so you don't have any issues with somebody using a chatbot to like
Oh no, I have a huge
organize.
problem.
So what's your thoughts? What's your problems?
So my problem is, man, what I've learned just in the past couple of years of marriage, the true value in marriage is 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 the bond that you create from figuring it out. And you
Hmm.
can't get to that bond without having to figure some stuff out. Do you know
Hmm.
what I mean?
So
So
it's
you're
almost like
you're stealing that richness of the relationship. What is the relationship anyways? And a part of it, sometimes things do need to feel like they're on the line. Not like in a cryptic way, but like you do need to your heart does need to race when you say something vulnerable for the first time, you
Mhm.
know?
So
Like, I don't know.
you would say that something like this would take somebody's like practice away.
Yeah,
Well,
practice, but it's practice and experience. It's like the thing where it's not about the destiny where the destination, it's about the journey. Like
mhm,
people it's marriage is another one of those things where you think you're gonna hit the
mm,
ultimate happy, like when he gets this job and I get that job and you have kids, then we're gonna have the marriage. No, marriage is coming home. One person had a bad day at work or in the stock market, comes home, and it's about being able to come home and have your little inside jokes to make you feel like you're home. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I could see I could see how, and that's the interesting thing of where we are in life.
Mhm.
I could see how your kind of perspective of like, hey, like you really want a great marriage, you gotta get out there and like actually try and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, but then the counter argument is, well, they're like, sometimes you're not dating to get married. Sometimes you're not playing that game, or you're like you have different incentives at different points in your life to figuring it out. And so what's interesting is that they two kind of took it in a different direction. And kind of her point was like, hey, like if you've got a bunch of 16-year-olds running around trying to riz each other up, and like it's just chat bots talking, because they're trying to take it out like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and everybody just starts is just interacting with each other via agents. Like you've never like evaluated the, like you've never like caused the rush in your heart whenever you're vulnerable, because your practice time, like when you're 16, when you're 17, you're 18,
Yep.
it's all taken away. So this was the conversation that they had kind of right after that kind of discussion of it. So
now, I get it. A lot of people are not going to, but you just can't ever let anybody off the hook for running their own life. But I don't want to be denied an incredible tool because some people are unwilling to take responsibility for their lives.
But you've already built your mindset and your self-esteem. That's where I go to, okay, maybe as an adult now, this coming to my life, as I'm 45, okay, I can understand the knock-on effects, I can think through it. But that's why I use the 16-year-old who hasn't developed that yet, who only is led by her own insecurities. And obviously your community is mostly male, but the equivalent of that, men are too scared to go and ask a girl out on a date.
Do you think it would be wise to say anybody under the age of 16 cannot interact with AI?
Oh.
This is a trap.
I know, I feel the trap.
I welcome you.
That's what I was about to answer, and I was like, I feel the trap in you.
Now.
All right. Question for you, Sydney.
Uh-huh.
Do you think, and I've already seen it, so it's not fair. Do you think that people under the age of 16 shouldn't be allowed to use AI because they haven't developed their like sense of worth in life? They've not had to challenge themselves. They've not had to like overcome the obstacles that make you who you are. If we're just going to throw them into the deep end of like being able to like have like an AI agent to figure everything out for them, should we as a society like prevent that from happening?
It's hard because JD and I, well, one, she said the trap. So I'm assuming there's a trap I could potentially fall into, depending on my answer that I'm not aware of. But my initial thought is it's hard because I don't think about just genuine response. JD and I don't plan on having kids. And so I don't think about what do kids.
You're like, not my problem. give me my AI.
Y'all figure that out. I tapped out of having to figure that out.
That's a future society problem. I'm in the today society problems. So you just don't have an opinion on it. You're like,
no, I say that to say I don't think I have a right to have a vote, but yeah, the challenge is we've seen how AI can help too in young kids, but then is it a censored AI? And then what type of this is also the other thing probably why we're not having kids is I overthink things, because then it's like you can already see it. So I don't know. I don't know what my opinion is. What's the trap? That's what I'm most concerned about. Is what was she talking about by the trap?
So they're married, right? So that she know, like you can tell when Tom is like leading some like the witness, you know, where it's like he's at like just the way that he asks the question. You can tell like he's about to like pull something out from under you.
That's
And so
hilarious.
she's picked up on it as well. He's not obvious about it. So
Most
this
men
was
aren't.
kind of facts.
But also most women aren't.
So this was his response, and I actually really do like solid response, Sydney. It does help that we've had some conversations around it just in this episode. So let's go ahead and watch this.
Age to that age, and the AI sends you the information so that you have a running tally of what the teddy bear is saying to your 4-year-old. So you know exactly what's being transmitted. You chose the algorithm yourself. Now imagine your kid who's essentially like just backwards compared to the kids that spent the intervening 16 years with an AI that's training them and big upping their confidence and telling them they can be anything they want and helping them gain skills and working with them. Oh, so that boy was mean to you today. This is how you could handle this in the future. Remember, you selected the algorithm and you get that running tally. So you're like, yeah, I approve all of this. And you, as the parent, can even sharpen it. So you say, no, don't say that. Instead, say this next time. Imagine kid with no AI interaction until the age of 16 versus a kid that has parent approved algorithms from trusted sources that they see the output. Those two kids, which one do you think is going to do a better job in life? Age to that age.
Yeah. So you were kind of on it.
It's a part of the topic around it's happening. So make sure you're a part of it, and it's a powerful tool. And I'm sure there are parents out there who are going to make sure that their kids have this to help them better develop. Where are you going to let your kid land on that? That makes sense.
No, I think what's interesting is because like he is way more into AI than she is. It's very clear like throughout the conversation. He's just into this stuff. She, on the other hand, this is kind of like the first time she's really been like challenging herself to have like those types of thoughts. And I think from my own perspective, what I've gone through is like oh my God, this is like gonna change like so many things. Like all of my friends, like I need to make sure they have the right jobs. I go down the bad route first. And it's like we got to regulate this in a way that like protects people and like make sure that they're not being used for nefarious things. And then the further and further you use it, you're like, oh, but what about that? And like, what about this? And what about, because you see of all like the good things that it could actually like come into play. And so I think just in that small example and that small interaction, it's like you have like the most common reaction is like, this could be bad, but also, wow, could this be good? Like, because like when you put those two things together, where it's like, here's for 16 years has had a personal AI chatbot that has been like up in their confidence and being able to be a confidant that like has your like specific algorithm that you've outlined. You can, and I don't know the societal repercussions of like a child finding out that their teddy bear that they thought like was just like their personal reactions. It can have like the parent knows everything that child is interacting with.
It's
That,
like
I
them reading their diary.
don't know the
Worse.
societal repercussions of that. But what I can also say is that the societal repercussions of kids growing up with like a personal tutor that has just been like their personal advocate for their entire life, like is able to meet them where they are, like at every phase that they are. It's one of those things that you can't pass up. So I saw that this is at the very, if anybody's looking to watch this, I clipped these specific clips out using YouTube clips, but this was like the very last 15 minutes of their 2-hour like episode. So just like scroll to the end of that episode, and that's this conversation.
Yeah. So when you originally sent me this link, you sent me the full thing. And this was proof, because I remember the last video you shared, but this is proof that I can't multitask, because I was trying to work while listening to this, just doing some outbound administrative stuff that I could do while I listen. I only heard parts because I definitely didn't remember the first section.
Well, it's crazy because I try to get Linda into this,
Mhm.
and just the way that he talks, the amount
I
of
love how he
information, like
talks.
impactful information, like multiple layers deep information that you've got to like critically understand at like the different layers that he's talking about. We were like 7 minutes into an episode, and I like looked over and I was like, "Hey, did you catch all that? Like, what was like?" Because it takes you a while just like listening to
Yeah.
him to kind of understand, because he has like tons of references that he just expects people to like know, but like if you've
Mhm.
not been listening to him, you don't know the references, and so you start to pick up on like, hey, what were those references? And like he'll
Yeah.
like drop in little pieces along the way. So love his show, but very complex thinker, which is just cool
You're
to
making me want to watch more of his stuff. What is he called? What is he called again?
Tom Bilyeu is like
Tom
his
Billion.
thing is impact theory. Actually, they go live while they are preparing for their show for 3 hours. So if you wanted to just like join their like prepping for the show and like hear their producers talking about like news things, it's
Really?
utterly fascinating. And then they go dark for an hour, and then they record for an hour. So
I
they're
feel like
dark for an
we
hour.
should
It's like
watch this together one day.
it was going to be a text message. I hadn't gotten to it yet.
I think this would be phenomenal. And for that 1 hour, we could eat food.
Yeah, you don't want to pass up eating food.
Yeah, that's too opportune of a window, you know?
But it is one of those things that like you've got to keep,
Mhm.
like it's 3 hours long of them just like talking about what's going on in the world. They have fun with it, and they have like a moderator that like calls out people that are speaking. Like they have a live stream while it's happening, and so
Oh,
if they
wow.
comment on it, they'll call you out, and they'll like the commenters will like help them with their like news content that they cover and like challenge them on specific perspectives. And
Hmm.
it's a pretty fascinating process. I wish I was a billionaire that could draw some crowd. He's been at this for quite a long time. I think he's had Impact Theory YouTube show for several years. I just found him in November, and
Awesome.
I've just been everything he gets. I'm watching. All right, so what do you say we move on to AI in the news?
Let's do it.
So last Wednesday, I was very sad to hear that Sam Altman did a tweet and it did not involve Elon Musk, and pushed back a release date of a model that he promised in December. So he goes, and I'm going to read this whole tweet because it's got tons of information throughout. So
Let's do it.
OpenAI roadmap update for ChatGPT 4.5 and 4.5 and ChatGPT 5. We want to do a better job of sharing our intended roadmap and much better job simplifying our product offerings. We want AI to just work. For you, we realize how complicated our models and product offerings have gotten. We hate the model picker as much as you do and want the return to magic and unified intelligence. We will next ship GPT 4.5, the model we called Orion internally, as our last non-chain of thought model. So when you know how like I've told you, like you've got to like you have to understand each one of the models, what they're good at, how they all interact with one another, and like you got to use them for their intended purpose, and they all kind of work together.
Yeah.
So they're just
That wasn't working
like,
for me. So I thought it was, imposter syndrome. I thought, well, I guess I'm just not that level of a user, but other
here
people
you
feel
go.
the same way. So that's
There you go.
cool.
So after that, a top goal for us is to unify the O series models and GPT series models in creating systems that can use all of our tools, know when to think for a long time or not, and generally be useful for a wide range of tasks. In both ChatGPT and our APIs, we will release GPT-5 as a system that integrates a lot of our technology, including O3. We will no longer ship O3 as a standalone model. The free tier ChatGPT will get unlimited access to GPT-5 at the standard intelligence setting, subject to abuse thresholds. Plus, subscribers will be able to run GPT-5 at a higher level of intelligence, and pro subscribers will be able to run GPT-5 at an even higher level of intelligence. These models will incorporate voice, canvas, search, deep research, and more. Very sad. Very sad. I know I've been waiting for O3 to come out for some like projects, and I'm like, I've used O1 Pro to do like that project of the application build that I want to do, where it's like I've used O1 Pro to just have this like super high concentrated documentation. And I was like waiting for O3 to like really dial it in and then start to like do the build. And they kind of promised that it's been released to like researchers throughout January. I thought it would be here by now. I've been very kind of disappointed that they haven't released it. I think they're actually making their other models better. I've just continuously get more and more impressed by their O1 Pro model. And I don't believe that their O1 Pro was as good in December as it is now. Like O1 Pro has somehow gotten better. So big news last Wednesday for OpenAI. Big news for XAI, which is the Elon Musk thing, because they came out with Grok 3 this time. So they had a live stream, bunch of bros up on the screen, tech bros up on the screen, giving the worst presentation you've ever watched for a live stream of an hour and a half. And it's so funny to me because all these AI companies, they have to do live streams now, because Google back in, I want to say the summer 24 or summer 23, I can't remember which one, they like did this is our model. And it was like, it had all these like bells and whistles, and like, it was like this like edited thing that like made it look like it was all real time. And then when people actually got the product, they're like, well, this is garbage. Like, it does not do what this advertisement did. And so since then, every time somebody releases a model, they do a live stream. And it's hilarious because the people that are on these live streams are like the engineers that are building, like, and they're just not live.
So they're not necessarily forward-facing people.
They're not forward-facing people, and like Elon isn't exactly the most forward-facing person either. Like he goes on his like little like where you see in his brain where he's got like 30 stories happening at the same time, and he's trying to like collect himself into one like outward thing. Honestly, the worst product demonstration I've ever seen, but because they have slides. They had slides, Cindy. Like, this is a legit slide that they had up there. It was product progress at a ludicrous speed, and you're just like, who's like creating this slide?
Ludicrous.
Like, they were titling this the ludicrous speed. But to their credit, whenever you look at the timeline of AI, they caught up really quick. And basically, you've got OpenAI is this like mixture of like steady progress and like steady like over time, which is why I believe they have models that they aren't releasing, because it's way too consistent of an up. I think all AI probably looks a lot closer to Grok's AI, but they've basically have taken like we're going to refine the model. We're going to make it a lot more efficient. We're going to make it a lot more effective in like the compute and all this sort of stuff. Whereas Grok has just like thrown as much compute and inference time at everything. And so you have this like engineer versus art. And it's like literally that is what is competing. And they, again, have you ever seen a Google Earth picture on a live product demonstration, like product?
No.
Like this is a slide that they had up there. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying like that they shouldn't have went to Google Earth and got a picture, but like shoot a drone up above. Like, this is clearly a picture of their factory before it became XAI. Like, it's got like a bunch of I don't know what.
So you want them to do more.
do more, bro. Like you launch it. Like he made this big thing. Like this is the first guy that's ever connected 100,000 GPUs. Like that is a engineering feat that like nobody has been able to even touch. Like
Why is that?
There's this concept of coherency. So when you're training a model, the furthest bit has to know what the furthest bit is talking about. And so you have all the things concentrated on the specific training. And so they have to have coherency. And there's just like a natural law of like how many of these GPUs you can stack up on top of one another, and they all keep coherency and know what the furthest bit to the furthest bit is thinking about. And so basically Elon's like, I'm going to engineer the shit out of this CPU game, and we're going to build a factory. And so like they went and found some factory in Memphis that they just like threw up in 3 months and like built like the fastest data center for processing all this sort of stuff. So this is like this is pushing the edges of what everybody thinks is possible. And they just have like the worst live stream to announce it. Like it again, the Twitter, like the world of AI is just, it's hilarious if you look at it from like, like what is actually happening in the world, where like I view this as like the next Renaissance era of like human civilization. And we just got like 4 bros up on a stage, like talking in front of like a Google Earth,
Google Earth screenshot.
And so they do have kind of like their like, this is how good our models are. And these are benchmarks that they do. So every time somebody else does a benchmark for it's like the open secret of AI is like, you do your own benchmark, you give like your best results, and then you have like all these third-party people that come in and do benchmarks, and it's a little bit different. So all these numbers do kind of come down and some come up, and it's a whole thing. It's oh man, there's like a Japanese word for like things that are, it's all a show. Like they're like, it's all the things that happen behind the curtain that you should actually be trying to interpret. So their benchmarks are solid. I don't see anything. So they had released it on Chatbot Arena, which they had released it under the code word chocolate. So Sydney, do you know what a Chatbot Arena is?
I was about to say, hold on. Tell me what a Chatbot Arena. You know, I just saw Gladiator 2, so I am so ready for your answer to this question.
Again, like this has been talked about as like this scene, like possibly the most important thing that has happened in human civilization, right?
And
like
some people don't even have it on their radar.
Not even on anybody's radar, because the product launches are the dumbest thing ever. Because they're talking, do you think that's
by design?
I think it's just a bunch of nerds that don't understand the world.
He meant that in the most loving and supportive way.
Elon, if you want to come give me a job,
I too am a nerd.
I'll work on it on the weekends. We're in this nerd game together, because I am a nerd and I have no problem saying it.
I love it.
I just don't think that they understand how marketing works. But at the same time, somehow Elon just is like a marketing genius, because he just sucks up all the oxygen. And like, I mean, there was like, I think it's been viewed like multiple millions of times, that this product launch is like an hour long, like not easy to watch product. Like I fell asleep watching it, like, and I'm interested in it. So that's Grok 3. I haven't used it yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I do like the way that the art perspective versus the engineer perspective. I feel like there's greater value in like that moat that we talked last week, where like OpenAI just has like all this usage data of like, how
Yeah.
do we want to use it? Whereas like
Mhm.
training that into a model is probably got to be very complex. And if you don't have
Yeah.
data to be able to do that with, it's probably really hard, even if you've
Mhm.
got a really, really good compute. So that was AI in the news. And so, if Elon's doing something, then Sam Altman's doing something. And I was just very disappointed that Sam Altman didn't do more. So he early in the day that Grok 3 goes live stream, he tweeted out, trying GPT 4.5 has been much more of a feel the AGI, or AGI's artificial general intelligence moment among high taste testers than I expected. So this is like a genuine tweet where somebody's just like, we're excited about what's coming up. Somebody popped in whenever Grok was going live. Still the show tonight, man. Live stream at 7:30 and chill. And he responds, "That wouldn't be very nice." And I'm disappointed in his response, if I'm being honest. If I was him, I would have done like a massive like push on all of our social medias, and I would have said, "We're going live tonight at 7:45 p.m." and just like waited until Elon, because he was late, by the way. I was like on at 8 o'clock whenever they
He
announced it.
was late?
He was late. I'm telling you. It's like,
Oh my.
I don't understand the world that we are existing in. Like, this is really important stuff. And they're like late
The
to the
man's
product
busy,
launch.
you know?
Doing rockets and like Neuralinks and robots and Tesla cars, and apparently digging
Except
into
with Trump.
everything government.
Yeah.
He's apparently able to do it all and somehow jump on a product live stream.
I don't get
That's
it.
why
I don't know.
that's why
I
I had
can
to Google.
barely. I didn't even get to laundry today, you know?
And this kid has multiple kids with multiple women, so like,
Man,
dude's got a like
he
lot
doesn't
of
know how
things on
to.
his
He
plate.
only knows how to do everything and anything at scale. So,
I genuinely, I don't understand how he exists, because he's also somehow the number one ranked like Diablo player, and like the people that play Diablo, like
stop.
they play it nonstop. Yeah, he's like highly ranked, and some people have speculated that he gets somebody else to play this game for him, just so that they can get ranked. But he talks about it nonstop. So
Wow.
I don't know how I feel about Elon. He's just a character. But that was my AI in the news this week. And I just, Sydney, I don't know what world we live in.
It's
It's
just what I want us to do, or what I see us doing more and more of, is helping try, or we're just exposing, we're either helping close the gap on what's happening right now
mm,
and where most of the population is. And hopefully we're closing the gap more. But I think we'll be fighting it for a while of showing just how wide the gap is instead for a little bit, you know? So that'll be
man, I
interesting.
don't know. The fact that I can like do a patent and like do the legal thing over the weekend just for like funsies.
Yeah.
Um, like
I want to
the
see the
people that
iterations of your patent when everything's done, because when you say you didn't know the level of detail, a perspective I didn't think about having was when we did business plan competitions in the
Mhm.
entrepreneurship program. We literally had a patent. Our patent was a metal organic framework that removed hydrogen sulfide and carbon monoxide from natural gas and biogas. And like we had to sit down with the professor who filed the patent and ask him questions with his techs with him,
Mm.
uh, poking holes at the patent and asking questions, and then talking about the competitors in the market and diving into their patent and why things are different. So we just had that in depth intellectual property patent experience that just interesting to think about.
Yeah, I think you would probably be the only person that would probably get to see that, except for maybe like a patent official that wants to like see. I think that you have to have like artifacts, like like if your patent gets challenged, you have to have like artifacts and like you see how your patent has evolved over time.
Interesting.
And so
I
I've
just
got
want to
no
see
problem.
the first one.
You can see the first one. You can see the research prompts that I did. You can see the conversation that I had to get to the research prompts, and you can see the research prompts, and you can see how I combine the research
exciting,
prompts.
yeah.
I've got no problem sharing that with you. So,
And don't forget about
well,
the daisy
Sydney,
chain, okay?
there's a daisy chain that's important. This is so. Well, Sydney, I think that's going to be it for today.
Okay.
Who should our 1,600 Instagram followers share this episode with?
They should share it. Man, you're putting me on the spot.
I think that they should share it with somebody that wants to file a patent. I think they should
Mhm.
share it with somebody that has a kid that's 16 that's interacting with AI.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
that's
that
a
they
good
should
idea.
share it. I think they should share it with somebody that's dating to not help them date, but to give them the confidence to be themselves. I think that they should share it. Who else should they share it with, Sydney?
I think they should share it with their therapist. I think they
Mm.
should share it with a friend that they believe should go to therapy.
Mm.
What
Maybe
else have we talked
ChatGPT.
about?
I don't know.
I think people should share it with their significant other that's less interested in AI, just to get them
Mm.
involved in the conversation.
Nice. Well, why don't you sign us off, Sydney?
All right, look, guys, if you got something out of this, don't stop here. Keep the momentum going. Hit that like and subscribe and stay engaged as we keep exploring the ideas shaping the future of work, innovation, and business. We'll catch you next time on If This Then What, where curiosity fuels action and what ifs turns into what's next.
Turn this TV off.
Yeah.